Okay, CSS, this is part 3. CSS style rules can be configured for an HTML element selector, for a class selector, which is used multiple times in a document, an ID selector, which is used once, and a descendant selector. So this is how we apply a CSS rule to a certain class of elements in a web page. It does not associate the style to a specific HTML element. So what we do is we create a new style. Notice we use the dot. This is the class name called new, and this is our style element. So we're going to change the color to red and the font style to italics whenever we use the class new. So to apply the class in a particular element, so here in our paragraph element, we say we want to use class equals new. Now notice here we don't have the dot as we do when we define the style, so it's going to use red and italics that we defined up here for the class. If you want to apply to just one element, notice one element here, use the hashtag character in front of new. So here we, instead of using class, we use ID, and we have equals new, and then we get red, large, and italics because we gave the font size to be 2M. And then we can specify an element within the context of its container parent element. So here we have the hashtag content paragraph, and then we give the color for that. Okay. Okay, a span element allows us to configure a specially formatted area displayed in line with other elements, such as within a paragraph. There's no additional empty space added above or below a span. It's an inline display. So notice here I want the style, the company name, I want the font weight to be bold, I want the font family to start off with Georgia, then Times New Roman, then serif. I want the font size to be 1.25 EM. So notice we have a paragraph tag, and then we do a span. We give the class the company name that uses this style up here, and then we end that span. So notice just Acme Web Design is going to be in that font weight bold 1.25 times the normal size, and is going to use this font family. CS style rules are contained within a text file separate from HTML documents. This is called an external file sheet. It has an extension of .css, contains only style rules. It does not contain any HTML tags. So here is an example. Here's this one called site.css. Here we have the body. So here's the open brace and the closed brace. And here we change the body. An H2 tag, we change the color. An H2 tag. The nav one, we change the font size and the font weight. And it's applied to all of these here, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So it's a self-contained tag we placed in the head section. Purpose to associate the external style sheet with the web page. And here's an example: link relative equals style sheet reference color.css. So it's going to load the color.css file into this particular page. So this is just another example of a color.css, and we have one with color CSS with the same link in the head section of your HTML page. The reason for using embedded styles is it gives us more consistent colors, fonts, and sizes to all our elements on all our pages. It makes it easier to make changes because I only need to change the CSS style page to make a change to any particular element, and it will be applied to all web pages. Center page content with CSS. Here we can have a container. We margin left auto, margin right auto, and the width remaining 80%. So 20% is going to be margin on both sides, and the width is going to be 80%, and we'll just use the container across the entire part of the web page. In the cascading, we first start with browser defaults, then they look to external styles, and then embedded styles in a sheet, and then inline styles, and then finally HTML attributes to come up with the final resolution of how to display something. And you can go ahead and validate all your CSS code at this CSS validator. So we learned what cascading style sheets are, how to configure inline, embedded, and external file sheets, how to apply the rules, and how to submit to a CS3 a CSS file to validation like you did your HTML. Now I'm going to make up some individual videos showing some individual CSS files, and you need to look at each one of those as an example, and then you'll need to apply that to your pages for this particular chapter. This ends part 3.